Welcome to the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Randy?
How about that for an introduction? Nice
All
and
right,
to the
that's
point. Today
that
we
was
are doing a
clean.
free form episode. Everybody knows what they're listening to. They know who I am. They know who you are. Now, what are we going to talk about?
Man, I was just thinking we should do one because I feel like the time's been going so fast and there's so much going on in both of our lives that it's hard to like, I don't know, the weeks go by so fast. I literally feel like sometimes Saturday is like the next day Saturday. Do you know what I mean? It's hard.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's hard to feel like you're ever doing enough, but then I always feel like I don't know what's too much and what's enough, and how do we know? It's so hard.
That's a great point. I was actually journaling about that today because I have been pushing my exceptionally hard to do this accelerated learning program for an exam that I've been wanting to take for a long time, that I've made an arbitrary date that I have to take it by, and it's been causing me ridiculous stress.
That's tough though, because it does like I know what you mean though, because like the arbitrary dates help though, because it like I do that too, because it like keeps you motivated to get it done at least as quickly as you can. But it also is stressful as hell. And you could change it, but then changing it's like that if you do that once, you do it, you can just keep doing it, right? And then you're stuck in that cycle of like procrastination.
Well, it's crazy. So, like, I set the date for 3 months from when I started studying for it because the program that I'm doing is 2 months,
Okay, you're double.
super accelerated. And then, after that, I have like a month to finish studying, get everything ready on my own. So far, I'm done one of those 2 months. I feel completely inadequately prepared, totally overwhelmed. And it's difficult looking at it like 2 months. How could I possibly know enough to be able to do that? But, you can't predict the future.
You know, it's funny. Okay, this is gonna be whatever. I'll just say it. But like, so I was thinking about this last night, right? We all try to do all this stuff in our lives to make our lives valuable, feel like they have purpose, to make ourselves feel like we have meaning. And like, but then we just die. And like, and then, wait, no, hear me out though, right? Because I was really thinking about this last night for a long time before I went to bed. It was probably not the best like nighttime thing, but it's fine. It's what I do. But like, and then we come up with all these things, like we convince ourselves that there must be something after death, right? Because the world, I mean, the universe is so huge. Things are so, there's so many unknowns. Consciousness is so weird. But like, why should there be? Like, really, what is this? Like, we're not any different from like, I was thinking about that. Like, we're not different than dogs or trees. I mean, really, if you think about it, like, why wouldn't this just be it? And then that raises that further question of like, why do we feel the need to validate ourselves through all this like you know
Mm,
challenges and difficulties?
yeah. I heard something about that once. I think I was reading it somewhere where it was talking about how, when we're kids, like everything's great. The world is just great. Everything's all sunshine and rainbows. And then like one day we're playing on the playground and some kid gets some special attention because they can like do a backflip or they brought some special toy that everybody likes, or who knows. For some
And all of a sudden you
reason,
realize you suck.
yeah, all of a
It's like,
sudden you feel not good enough because they have attention and it feels good to have attention and you don't have it and you want it. And all of a sudden you start plotting. And from that moment on, the whole rest of your life, you're just plotting to get that. And then you get it and it doesn't last. And after fame comes what is he? Oh, I forget that saying. But yeah,
something
after
bad.
fame comes, yeah, you disappear,
Yeah. Well,
basically.
that's the weird thing. It's like, like we're constantly trying to validate ourselves and our existence and that we matter. And I feel like it's maybe that's the wrong thing to focus on or to be stressed about. But it's so hard not to because it's like you live in a world where everyone else is doing it. And it's a world that
Mm.
humans constructed to be valued, right? To value and to assign value to things. Like we've done this forever, right? You had a tribal leader. You had, someone who knew the best routes to hunt or whatever. Like, you had serfs and you had, king, like we've always been like layering ourselves and distinguishing and, you know,
Well, it's
yeah.
almost like this special ability that humans have to be able to think about stuff actually takes us out of reality Because as
Yeah.
soon as we start thinking about stuff, we're gone from reality. And then we just start plotting about this alternate reality that'll never occur.
Do you ever read Eugene Ionesco's Absurdist play Rhinoceros? So basically,
Sounds cool.
it is cool. It's very good if you ever have time. It's not that long, but it's a play, and like, but basically, like in the play, like there's this. It's this town. I'm just gonna give you a very brief, but like people just start just turning into rhinoceri. Like individuals start turning
Nice.
into the animal, and it's funny because like the other people that are still people, like they're thinking about it, and like I forget the exact line, but at one point one guy goes like he's looking at them like the animals and the rest is just like eating stuff. He's like, it is kind of nice that when you think about it, like, it's so much simpler than this life where like all these problems and stuff, you just like eat food, go to the bathroom, sleep, have sex. You do your thing that you're kind of like built to do, and that's it. You know?
That's why I always say I'd rather be a pig satisfied than Socrates dissatisfied or whatever.
Maybe Mill's wrong. You know?
Yeah, clearly. And the Aurelius quote was after fame comes oblivion.
There you go. Yeah.
And that's crazy from the most famous man of his time.
Yeah. But then again, but like, look, like, so what? Like, yeah, we still talk about him. We still have some. I mean, it's
And that's
miraculously
and
some of
that's
his.
rare. Like the
Yeah,
the only one person who was alive during his time that we actually still talk about.
that's what I mean, though. Like, it's like the rarity of these things lasting, like your works, the stuff that you did actually lasting, so people remember you is like, very slim. So, I mean, we talked about this before. Like, how many people in ancient times that were great thinkers, great minds? Who knows? They probably produced amazing works we have no idea of because we either haven't uncovered it, or they were burned in the fire of Alexandria, or just lost. Like for whatever reason, that thing wasn't preserved by, some person who passed it along and, retranslated it or something. So yeah, it's
You
crazy.
mean
And no, go ahead. What you said.
I was gonna say you mean they didn't become enlightened and then sell their courses to everyone?
I know, right? But then I don't know. And it's just nuts because then it's like, and even if your stuff survives, you don't know it. Like you're gone. So it's so weird. And it's like I think I don't know, I feel like so many times caught between this thing of like you want to have a good life in the world we live in, which means you have to do stuff because you want to make money. You want to like, be able to do. It's like you're constantly trying to work and do these things so you can live your own life, right? And at the same time, it's like, but for what point? Like, is all of this anyway? And how far do I want to take it? Because there's also that fear of like you're trying to value yourself, things go well, and then that fear of like falling into it and forgetting about everything else, and that becomes the sole focus. And then one day you wake up and you regret the fact that you didn't do anything else that you liked.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's challenging. I was also thinking about the fear of death because I started asking myself. So like I'm driving myself super hard to learn this stuff and basically every spare moment. And it kind of sucks because I'm putting off all the stuff that I consider fun just to do this stuff, to do this thing which I considered fun before I made it like a point
A
to
job,
take this
a
exam.
dad.
Yeah, I
I
know,
know.
right?
That's the point. That
And
always scares me about certain things, like turning hobbies into work. Like always makes me nervous. It's like, well, will I still enjoy it? Like once it's work, but anyway. Yeah.
yeah. So I kept just journaling and asking myself, like, why am I doing this? I don't need to do it. Like, I don't need to do it. I mean, granted, I'd like to pass the exam, but I don't
And
have to do it in this time frame. Not at all.
you could
Okay.
take a year. Yeah, you could
I
do it
get to,
whenever the hell
yeah,
you feel like it. Yeah.
yeah. And so I don't need to do it based on the time. I don't need to do it for money. So why am I doing it? I just kept writing, like, why am I doing this? Why am I do And it got like very superficial, kind of like, of course I'm doing it for these reasons for myself. And then I forget where I was going with this.
You said death. You said something about death.
Oh, right. Yeah. Because like I think there's like I think part of it was the fear of financial insecurity and also the fear of I wasn't I I was going to write death, but it's not really the fear of death because I don't fear death that much that I know of. I think I more fear pain and fear. Like I fear
Yeah, I
the
mean, I don't like
fear
pain either.
about like surprise death, and I
Yeah.
fear the pain around death. But actual death, I mean, it's got to be the greatest release ever. But yeah,
I always just assume it's like when before I was born, and then I just don't care because
yeah.
whatever. I don't
I don't
remember that
mind the
either.
part after. The part after I die, totally cool with. But the moments to years leading up to it and the actual event, that if it's painful and if it's scary, I'm not down for it.
Yeah, I mean that always I think that's what I'm sure that's a lot of people, right? Because that always makes me my biggest fear around it was always like the slow degenerate or the slow like sort of breaking down and loss of self is what scares me the most, I think. Yeah. Not the
Hmm.
actual death, but that's just whatever, but like it happens. It happens to everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
it's interesting. And it's like, but you're also stuck in a position where it's like, we can, if you focus, you can do anything, right? And like, but it also means, given the time restraints, might or might not put on stuff, it also means pushing a lot of other things aside for the time. But it's like, well, I can get it done in 3 months if I push everything else away and just do this one thing.
Hmm.
Or I could do it in this long time. And it's like, I don't know.
Well, so there's also this fear that I could put myself through all this pain now, and then I might not pass the exam. And
That's
that's like,
possible.
that would suck
Yeah.
really bad. But then I was like, worst case scenario, I was like, okay, fine. So I don't pass the exam. So then I just study again and take it again as long as it takes.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
that's all you'll
so
do for the rest of your life is just study and keep taking it. Look,
yeah,
even if
pretty
you did
much.
fail, the reality is though, at least it'll all be fresh in your head. So you just focus on what you go over stuff again and do it in like another month or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think I would take more time because the other option. So like the way that they teach the course is like there's learning material online and you can either get, 3 months of access with one exam attempt, and that's like really expensive, or you can get a year of access with unlimited attempts, and that's like
Crazy
you could
expensive.
buy a car.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so it's like you get one of those options. And so I chose the 3 months and one exam attempt, but yeah, so it puts some pressure on me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You do it and you just get it done, I guess. I don't know,
Hmm.
it's so weird. Like I think a part of our problem too is you know, from a very early age, we look at everything, or we're taught to look at everything as like ends. Like you go to
Mm.
school, you graduate the year, you try to do well that year. You graduate from high school, you graduate, you go to like everything's built to be like a task to complete that's final. But that's like a not an accurate depiction of life. Life's not fine. Things keep going. Things keep,
Hmm.
and I think we'd be much better off if we focused on the journey, I guess not the individual steps.
I was thinking about that when I was frustrated the other day with studying because I was getting really, really frustrated because stuff wasn't working and and
And
I
this is
was
all you've
like,
been
oh
doing
no,
every day for like months. So it starts to wear you
yeah.
out. Yeah.
And so like stuff wasn't working. And I was like, oh, I'm never gonna pass the exam. And then I'm like, hang on, I'm not actually doing this to pass the exam. Like, yeah, sure, having the exam pass, but like I'm actually doing this to learn this stuff. And this moment now that sucks and that I hate, this is me learning it. So I
Well, that's
guess
the
I'm getting
funny.
what I paid for.
Well, that's the funny thing though. It's like, right, we always put the emphasis on results, not on actually like the process and what the individual is getting out of it. Which is why, you see fraud in scientific journals and stuff because
Mm,
these people were told that results matter more than anything else. And I think that's part of our problem is we're so results oriented, we forget about like why we're actually doing stuff in the first place, why we even started doing stuff. And it can be a real trap. It's dangerous, I think, because we can kind of lose our way really easily.
hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just like an in all the time too. It's hard when you're busy. It is. It's hard to like see clearly like what you like doing and make time. And then it feels so stressful too to make time. It's
Dude, and it's just like, when you wear your brain out, you're just in a bad mood, or maybe I'll just speak for myself. When I wear my brain out, I'm in a bad mood.
oh
And
yeah,
then to like
totally.
recover from my brain being worn out, I go wear my body out, and then I'm just hurting and in a bad mood because of that. And so then it's just
Tired
this
and
whole
miserable.
cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever find, it's funny, it's like when I'm really busy too, I have to catch myself because like friends will text me or something, and I'll see myself getting mad at like them for bothering. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, like,
Yeah. I've been getting mad at all types of stuff recently.
yeah,
Yeah.
stress.
Hmm. Yeah, stress. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Just trying to be
Um,
gentle with myself and with others and
yeah,
just
kind
getting
of want
mad.
to.
Hmm.
And instead, just getting angry.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's hard too when you don't just ignore all the feelings. and pretend like they're not there. Because then,
Hmm.
like, you have to actually acknowledge them, identify them. But it does make it
Oh,
better, I think.
totally. Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's worthwhile to deal with. So anything else for this episode? Let's save it for the next one.
All right, we'll do that. That sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, we can call this one After Fame Comes Oblivion.
That's a good title. I like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, since I'm introducing, I'll give the outro. If you enjoyed this episode of the Existential Stoic podcast on your favorite podcasting service or on YouTube, then you should definitely like, subscribe, share with your friends and family. And if you want to go above and beyond because you're a perfectionist and because you know the only way to do things right is to do it perfectly, you could leave us a perfect review on Apple Podcasts. That would be a 5-star review with just glowing accolades talking about how this changed your life. You've
You can add to your
reconsidered the whole
legacy.
entire world, add to your legacy. You'll never be forgotten now. Everything's going to be great. All thanks to the Existential Stoic podcast. So, with that said, this is still the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Randy.